halfway down the ramp. But of course, Naomi gets the full entrance all the way from the ramp down to the ring, and you're kind of thinking, right, okay, that says it all then, really.
How about James Ellsworth's WrestleMania moment, Matt? Can beat that because you've been dragged along by Carmella. But yeah, I didn't look at it like it was WWE putting on a women's match to sort of like co-main event. I kind of saw it as like it was the wearing down stage for the fans after Brock and Goldberg. So like let's get them ready. Get the energy levels back up for Undertaker, Roman. I mean, they used to do that all the time as well. Like, if you go back to 18 and 19, they did it there a few times, and they were just kind of matches to be thrown out with little importance just to get the fans sort of a bit of space before the next big main event comes along. So that's how I saw that. I didn't see it like WWE were doing any good for the women's division there, because if they did, it would have been the other match in that spot. But nonetheless, Matt, the last match, of course, I think we both said this, didn't we? If this goes on last, this is going to be the Undertaker's last match. You just saw it like that. What did you think of it, Matt? What did you think of the reactions? And obviously, we got that announcement. I hate it when they do that. Straight on the night, it's a no DQ match. I was like, where did that come from? That could have added to some of it, I guess, if we'd have known that before. But, they threw that out just briefly, didn't they? Like, no big deal. It's a no DQ match. Okay, fair enough. What did you make of it, Matt? And obviously the aftermath.
It's a difficult one to judge, really, because coming into WrestleMania, everyone expects so much from The Undertaker, They're looking at him like he was, 5-10 years younger than he actually is. They're looking at the matches that he had with Shawn Michaels, but that's an exceptional performance, like once in a lifetime kind of thing to pull off those kind of matches. But people respect him for that and expect him to do better than he did. But it's really difficult, and I think they did do well, but it's going to always be tough when we know that Undertaker's suffering from some medical problems right now. He needs some operations doing, and it's not going to be his best work. But I think he did a good job of going at it one last time there, getting a decent outing, and I think even Roman did pretty good. And it's really going to be tough when you've got two big guys, and then they're going to come together and see who's the stronger one. But there wasn't going to be much speed involved. It did kind of at points remind me of the match that Shawn Michaels had with the Undertaker, but on the other foot. It felt like when Undertaker was crawling up at Roman and he wouldn't stay down, and it just felt like that. And I don't know whether a lot of people might have seen that the same way, but I like that kind of nod to that previous kind of match where it was Shawn Michaels' last one.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that the story they were trying to do in the ring, you could see what they were trying to get across. Obviously, Roman, they didn't make it obvious that he was going to be heel. I mean, I guess lots of people wanted him to turn heel and do something really nasty. But I felt like with the chair shots and stuff like that at the end, there was more from Roman. He made it look a little bit more come on, he didn't need to do that last one in there. And there were little subtle movements that he'd done that I think sort of made him the heel for sure. And I think, in a way, I mean, lots of people emailed in and said, why didn't he just bash him to smithereens after the match? But the problem is, if you do that, you couldn't have had the moment that you got after the match then, could you? I mean, Undertaker would be going out on a freaking, in an ambulance or something, on a stretcher. And, again, that will make people speculate that he'll come back and get revenge. So I felt like you had to kind of do it within the confines of the match and then have Undertaker sort of go off into the sunset. I've got to say, Matt, when I was watching that match live, that one, it got to me, man. It got to me. I actually got teary because when I saw him start to put all his stuff down in the ring, it kind of was like he was leaving his character behind. That was coming to a close. And when I saw him go out, Matt, for the first time, you never see this from Undertaker, but that little break of character when he kissed his wife and then, of course, walked off up to the ramp, and the music playing all the way through just made me bring back all these flood of memories for the Undertaker. He's always, since I've been watching wrestling, he's pretty much been the constant. I am a massive Bret Hart fan, but when Bret wasn't there, The Undertaker was still there. I was a Hogan fan, but again, when Hogan left, Undertaker was always there. I mean, he has always been there somewhere. He's always managed to recreate himself. He's like the Madonna of wrestling. He's just always reinvented himself. And you got to give this guy props for sure. I think in a lot of ways, Matt, and I know lots of people have been making tributes, and it's easy to say when it's just happened, but I think The Undertaker is, in my opinion, probably I don't know how to put it, but maybe the biggest legend that WWE has in terms of creation, in terms of being at the main event for so long. Because, yeah, arguably Hogan sold more money, sold more merch, and of course Austin did. But I'm talking about a constant persona around WWE. I don't think there's anyone that can come close to The Undertaker in that sense. And, you really felt once I knew it was going to happen, but seeing it just really sort of, it really got to me that night, and it really made it sort of like, this is the end, and we're not going to see him again. And definitely made me feel special when we saw him a couple of years ago, Matt, in New York, that I got to see that pay-per-view match now. I was kind of thinking I wanted to see him in a match, and of course we got that. What was your feelings, obviously seeing The Undertaker leaving his stuff behind, and then obviously pretty much I think he's done now. What are your feelings on it, Matt?
I think, like, every year coming to WrestleMania, I think we say this all the time. We always said, this could be his last one, and you've got to make the most of it every time you see him. Mm-hmm. But, even though at the start of the year I made my prediction that this would be Undertaker's last year,
yeah, you did.
I still wasn't ready for it. I still wasn't ready to see him go, and I still couldn't handle it when I saw him taking off his gloves, and I just knew then, like, this is not normal. This is it. This is the end. Not ready to see him go. There's matches I want still from Undertaker to see. Yeah. And I guess that's the good thing. You should go out when you feel like you still have one good match left in you. Then just go, because you're going out on top still. You're not going to leave the fans with like a subpar performance. So I think it's good timing, and it's good for himself. To take a break now, to finally have a rest, because, man, it's got to be tiring. Even if you work the schedule he does, which is a lighter load, like, the amount of effort and the amount of toll it's taken on his body, and the stuff that he's done through the years, he deserves the rest more than anybody. But it was always going to be a sad thing to see him go, because he is WWE's greatest creation. I mean, Hulk Hogan can go off and be Hulk Hogan somewhere else, and and Stone Cold can go off and be Steve Austin somewhere else. But The Undertaker, he was always just the WWE. So that, really, really sad ending to that one. And of course, Jim Ross was back for that one, commentating. I did read somewhere as well that it wasn't just a one-off thing. That apparently WWE, according to JR as well, Matt, that it was always going to be on Undertaker's last match. Undertaker always wanted Jim Ross to call it. So apparently that was always set in stone. Despite what had happened, obviously, with his wife and all the rest of it. But obviously now we know as well that Jim Ross has been given a 2-year contract with WWE as well, and that might have been the handout that they gave there, the reach out there for good old JR. But yeah, it was definitely sad. I think especially when you see JR come out at the beginning of it, you're thinking, yep, this is now looking that way. The fact that they're giving this match to Jim Ross, when you think of the people he's come back and sort of had with Austin's last match, and Ric Flair and all the rest of it, you just thought this is going to be another one of those ones. So that was WrestleMania. Obviously, now coming out of WrestleMania, Matt, we've had Raw. What did you make of the NXT guys that we've had come up? Ty Dillinger's obviously now on SmackDown. What do you think of that, Matt? Is that a good one? Did you expect him to come up? Well, Ty, I guess it was his time, because he's had like sporadic appearances on the main roster, like he did at the Royal Rumble, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And he's been on the losing streak, which is the trend in NXT. If you're going to start losing quite a bit, then you're going to be due a call up. So I wasn't too shocked when I saw him. I just feel like he's going to get the Tyler Breeze treatment, though. I think he's going to be good for a laugh, like with a 10-10-10 thing for a short space of time, and then WWE are going to say, well, what can you do for us other than that? And then he's going to end up putting on a dress or something like Tyler Breeze has.
Yeah, it's like always a good month. I'm sure we'll get a good first pay-per-view, and then it could go bad for him after that, but hopefully it won't. I don't want to sound too negative, but hopefully it won't. Of course, the other big one, Matt, on SmackDown was Shinsuke Nakamura. I felt it should have gone on at the end, especially when I saw what was at the end. How big is this moment? And also, Matt, what's your feelings on his first feud with The Miz? Do you think that was the right pick for someone like him?
For me, this was like an enormous moment. I mean, we've seen people come up through NXT and then they've made it onto the main roster. But for me, this was the biggest achievement. Nakamura coming in from Japan, being a huge star there, and having to go through the NXT system, which I found a little bit unnecessary for someone like him, but they felt that was what he needed to establish himself with the American fans, fair enough. But now this just feels like a massive achievement now that he's there on SmackDown, coming from Japan. It took a while to get there, but now he's there. And I feel like this is what they need to compete with Ring of Honor, and they needed to compete with New Japan to put on some of the best matches in the world. They need Nakamura. They need Nakamura AJ. They need Nakamura John Cena, and they need Nakamura. And if it depends on how this brand split thing is going to go, they could end up having people like Seth Rollins, another great talent. All these people that can work with Nakamura and put on some of the best matches in the world. I'm extremely excited to see where this goes. But I don't think The Miz is going to be on the list of best matches in the world.
No, I mean, I did get some emails and some people said they should have given him Dolph Ziggler, a better worker. And I do agree with you, but then again, at least that The Miz is relevant at the moment. I kind of feel like if they gave him Ziggler, he's not exactly been doing anything that great lately. So I guess The Miz at least has been in the spotlight, and it'll be something different with The Miz. So he's a little bit more relevant than Ziggler's been at the moment. So I'm kind of glad because, if he gets the win over Miz, it kind of progresses him up a little bit further, a little bit quicker. So, I know that the match would have been better, but I think as far as they're obviously going to bring him in slow on a slow kind of path. So this isn't the worst way to start off, in my opinion. There would have been a lot more other guys that you could have gone wrong with at first, but I think it's a really big deal. I just hope WWE on the main roster they do him credit that this guy is a big deal. He's very over with the fans and whatnot. Matt, on the Raw side of things, of course, finally the Revival. It seems like we've been talking about them for ages coming up. They're finally there. What did you make of that, Matt?
I was surprised. I think it's a very busy tag team division now on Raw. It's from all of a sudden it's gone from small division now to a big division. They've got the Hardys and the Revival coming up now. Yeah. I just feel like the Revival would have been much more suited for SmackDown because now they've got the Hardys there. The attention's going to be on them. That's going to be the full focus. I just feel like on SmackDown they could have had a little bit more focus on themselves. But I'm glad they've gone up. I mean, it's been well overdue.
Yeah, no, totally. So it was good to see them, and hopefully them going forward is going to be a big deal. For sure. Matt, was there anything else coming out of Raw that sort of took your eye? I mean, obviously we know coming up this coming week, depending on when you're listening to this, that they're going to reshuffle. They've not mentioned a draft, so I'm guessing it's going to be some kind of trade kind of thing going on between the two brands. Is that? I mean, I'm kind of glad they're doing it now because it's always the Raw after WrestleMania is always big, and then there's a massive come down a week later. But I'm glad they're just doing it really fast because normally, Matt, in back in the day, they wouldn't do this until I'd say May time when they normally do this, and you get that kind of pay-per-view straight after WrestleMania where it's all about sort of a load of revamped WrestleMania matches. Really, they're just sort of rematches. But I'm glad they're doing this sooner rather than later because it's sort of it restarts the button very fast, and we get some new feuds and people go where they need to go. Any predictions from your side, Matt, on